Hello everyone, this is Magbo Gaming here, and I am here once again in my camper. Yep, this little camper house that I'm in. I'm not surprised. You saw the title of the video, PS5 Price Increase. I'm not surprised at all, man. So now the PlayStation 5, the slim one, or the standard one, that was $500, now is literally 550 bucks. I still don't got a PS5, so like you would have thought like in the past it paid off to like wait for quite a few years for you to get a good discount, a good cheap console price. But nope, instead of that it's going up, just like Nintendo Switch 2, just like the Xbox consoles, all that stuff. Let's keep going. The digital edition that was $450, now it's $500. The digital edition, yeah, but you know what's worse than that? PS5 Pro, the one that I've been ranting and raving about for a little while. Yep, I remember that had a price drop. It went from 700, I think, or 750 all the way down to 650, and then it bumped right back to where it was. I don't remember if the initial price was 700 or 750. Let me know in the comment section below because I don't remember the details. $750 for a PS5 Pro. That's wild, man. Just imagine, people are already talking about the PlayStation 6. Guys, dude, in my honest opinion, we're not ready for a PS6 yet. We are, with these price problems we're having right now, at this very moment, with these sky-high prices of the current console, do you think that we're ready to fork out another like $800 or more on a PlayStation 6? This world's not ready for the PS6 yet. I tell you this right now. You know, it kind of sucks. It's a shame that we are living in this reality. Because, let's just say, okay, so PlayStation 5 came out in 2020. Came out at $500. I said that the launch price was okay. The scalpers raised it to like $1,000 or more. And then it went down to, the digital edition was actually $400. Yes, the digital edition, $400. And I think there was a chance that you could have had like a disc drive attachment later on for that console. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's just so wild. The launch lineup, the launch console was $500, $400 respectively. But at the same time, they were being scalped to crap with these scalpers. And it was extremely hard for us to find a PS5 at the time for the first like 3 years or so. Thankfully, I didn't care about the PS5 at the time whatsoever. I was perfectly happy with this PS4, and it was still true for a while. I think I'm still happy with the PS4 today. I'm not gonna lie. There's still a lot of backlog on my PS4 collection that I still want to get to. But the fact of the matter is that there are now, since last year, games like Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor. Yeah, those are the 3 games in my collection. You can see it right here. I'm trying to build up a decent PS5 collection so that when I do ever have a chance to get a PS5 for under $400, then I'll have a backlog of games there to play. Of course, Metaphor I also have on the Steam Deck. I played through the whole game. I got to the very last boss. I couldn't pass the boss because I kind of like made a mistake there. I'm not gonna spoil anything there. I do also have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the Steam Deck, but the performance is not very favorable because I was someone that came out from playing Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS4 not so long ago. And then after really enjoying Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS4, I was more than ready to get Rebirth. I got Rebirth for a deal. The Rebirth game, got it for like $30-something. After trading in a few stuff, they had it already marked down to $40 for a brand new copy of that thing. And then I did some trade-ins. It got down to like $30-something. So, very good deal on that game for sure. And then Metaphor, I think I traded quite a bit of stuff and GameCube related trade-ins that did not really, yeah, it was given to me for free because this guy was going to trade into Game On Mayagüez, but he failed to do that, and I was just there, and he gave the GameCube and the controllers and all that stuff to me for free. I was very thankful for that. We try to keep in touch, but you know, it was a lucky type of situation, you'll say. So I traded some of these stuff over to Game World, and I got a huge discount with Metaphor. Like, I barely didn't pay anything for Metaphor, because I had like a bunch of games that I wasn't playing, that I didn't want anymore, that I know I'm not gonna touch it for any time soon. I should trade it all in. Try to empty out my collection a little bit to make room for stuff that I really want. So those two games I got pretty cheap. And Stellar Blade I got from Florida. If you saw my Florida type of videos that I did late last year, you'll probably know that I got it from a GameStop for about $40 something, which was, yeah, quite a big price cut from the initial $70 game that it came out earlier that same year in 2024. So don't regret it at all. Got those 3 games, got them like in my backlog right now, so when I get a PS5 I will look forward to Stellar Blade for sure. And I do want Spider-Man 2, I want Astrobot, I want Expedition 33, and I do also want Edit Zero as well. Okay, so that's the thing. My backlog could last me way beyond PS6's life expansion. So in other words, like the PS6 will be living for a while by the time I get through most of my backlog. Now, what I'm really upset about with this price hike is that it was already expensive to begin with. The whole console was already very pricey. I didn't think, by 2020 to 2025, 5 years almost into the console, that it's still gonna be worth the same exact price or even more now. In retail stores, $550 for a regular PS5 Slim and $500 for a PS5 Slim Digital Edition. I mean, the PS3, right? It came out at $400 back in 2013. It was a pretty good price for its launch. And then, how much was it 5 years later? Sure, you could probably get brand new ones still for $300, $250 around there. Yeah, I seen brand new consoles of PS4 around that price. And I think that was a pretty fair price at that time. It had a little price cut. They slimmed down, the thing made sense, the PS4 Pro was around, it was $400, the same price of the initial PS4, that's fine. The prices were more fair at the time, and many people were not in financial ruin at the time, and they were able to buy a PS4. And then, it's because of all those factors, 5 years after the PS4 came out, it was super affordable. Like, I can even get used one for under $200 a lot of times. I found a lot of used PS4s in flea markets, in pawn shop, in game stores for well under $250. Sometimes I found them for like $150 or so. Like, no joke. If you want just the console alone, $150 easily. Or maybe even $120. If you can find a used one that's the console only, you just get that and eventually you start getting the accessories. You get it all together and there you go. I want to find a way to get just a box. I just want a PS5 box so I can play those games. I don't care about the cables or the controls or anything like that. I just want a simple box. But when I looked that up on eBay, you know how much they were selling it for? $300 freaking plus shipping. And the shipping wasn't cheap either. So you can't just get only the console with nothing else and expect to get a good deal nowadays. So you're gonna have to pay at least a minimum of $300 if you want the console alone. Looking for an editor for your YouTube videos? Even someone to create custom thumbnails for you? Then I can surely be of help to you. I have over 15 plus years of experience editing videos via Vegas Pro and around the same amount of years of experience designing thumbnails, banners, and other stuff via Photoshop. If you look around my YouTube channel here, I can claim that I have made all these thumbnails myself and I did all the editing as well. Not to brag of course, but showing my proof of work here. If you or anyone you know is interested in these services, click on my Fiverr link below and we can discuss how you want the video to be made for you alongside your thumbnails. I will send you a good offer which will benefit us both depending on the time and effort required for your creations to be done. Looking forward to do business for you. Now let's get back to the video. If you want like something that's broken that you can fix, it's still like in the 200 sections. Come on man, this is the problem. Like when you make a console this gigantic, and when the PS5 first came out, it was gigantic. And for 3 to 4 years, I didn't have any reason to own the PS5. I was ranting about the PS5, how there's barely any games I want on it and all that stuff. But now Sony with Edit Zero and many other games out there, they want to put it just on PS5 when it's perfectly obvious you can run that thing on PS4. And sure, there are some that are on PS4, like Metaphor, but digital only, no physical option. There should have been a physical option, just like in other countries where they had a physical option. And that was 2024. So yeah, we are looking at Sony is kind of artificially trying to kill off the PS4, but at the same time, they're still just under half of the user base in the Sony ecosystem still on PS4. And just this year, the PS5 has finally surpassed the PS4 in user base throughout the PlayStation Network and all that stuff. So it's no wonder why the PS4 is still alive today. No wonder why the PS4 is still the budget console for a lot of people today. And people still need to continue to make games for it for as long as the PS5 is that expensive. I'm not joking around. If the PS5 is gonna stay expensive as heck, and a lot of people, especially the average consumer, are not able to afford this thing, me included, I'm not gonna lie, me included, then how I would have gone on PS5 already if they had a lot of good games and they had cheaper options out there. But most of them didn't happen. The good games started coming out recently. Since Spider-Man 2 is when I started getting a little bit of interest of the console, because there was no PS4 version and they couldn't run. I could understand Spider-Man 2 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth not being on PS4 because there are super graphic heavy games, open world and everything, and the PS5 just does it better. But if you're talking about games like Metaphor and Edit Zero and even some other games, maybe even Astrobot. Well, Astrobot, I guess I could just leave it alone. Keep it PS5 exclusive so I have a reason to buy a PS5. But yeah, guys, what you guys think about the PS5 price increases? I'm not surprised this was gonna eventually happen. I'm not surprised at all, but I'm upset because the PS5 was already expensive to begin with, and now it's just even more expensive. Most average consumers are not able to afford this thing because, like most average consumers, they could barely buy anything because the wages that they have in their jobs, they're not keeping up with inflation. They're only like a freelancer, an eBay seller like I am, that I depend on limited funds to pay my bills and stuff, and then maybe I get a little extra or maybe to save stuff on crypto or whatever. I can't afford a PS5 right now still. It sucks. I would have definitely been able to buy a PS5 at this point if a couple of factors in my life didn't happen, like car expenses and some other stuff that happened that I'm not gonna get into. It's very personal, but I'll just say one thing. Yeah, even if I was well off, I would never pay over $500 for a console like that. Like, I might as well just get a mid-range PC at that point. And even that's getting a lot more expensive. So, yeah, like, it hasn't been very probable for me to get a PS5 or a Switch 2 because those prices, I do not like those prices. They're not worth those prices. They're way too pricey, and there's barely any games that's worth a darn there. Sure, now PS5, yeah, it's building up now its library. It still has a ways to go to catch up with PS4, but it's building itself up in a decent way because there's a lot of third parties actually making games for PS5 and not for PS4 and stuff like that I kind of want now. But yeah, will I be getting a PS5 by the end of the year? I'm gonna see what happens in Black Friday, but to be honest, it's kind of like a pipe dream for me to get a PS5 now for under $300, a working console. It sucks honestly because that $300 I would have easily bought a PS4 back 5 years after that came out. And PS5 isn't that much more powerful than the PS4. Like, for real, PS5 is not that much more powerful than PS4. There's not a big leap like the PS2 to PS5, for example, or from the PS1 to PS2, for example. That's a problem. They keep raising the prices, yet their financial reports, proves a bunch of record-breaking profits. And with all those record-breaking profits, they should be able to eat the cost, and they blame inflation on this whole thing. But the matter of fact is that they're just bringing excuses, blaming the terrorists so they can make even more profit and screwing over the consumers. And as long as they're like that, I don't care about supporting and buying these over expensive pieces of plastic. Like, for real. PS5, Switch 2, get your acts together. Xbox I don't give a crap about. I don't even buy Xbox, but PS5, Switch 2, if you ever want me to buy your console, be more consumer friendly. And to that day comes, I'm happy with my Steam Deck, my Switch 1, my PS4, all my retro console. I have a lot of backlog. I could last for many years and not have to buy a PS5 or Nintendo Switch 2. It's gonna be very tempting when Smash Brothers comes out on Switch 2, so hopefully before when Smash Brothers gets announced or after it, then I could be able to afford one of those. But and as for PS5, there's already some games that are good, and it's still gonna have another 5 years to live, or 6 years. Like PS5 shouldn't die anytime soon for sure. PS4 shouldn't die either. Give it another 2 years for PS4, because PS5 is way too expensive right now. That's all I have to say. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this. And guys, if you're looking for a video editor to edit your videos, I could be of help. And also a thumbnail designer. So you can check the link in the description below on my Fiverr page for more details. You could reach me out to there and explain what you really want, and I could offer you a pretty good deal as much as I can, depending on how long the project takes. So everything catered to you pretty much. Also, like and subscribe if you're new to this channel and if you agree to what I'm saying right here. And yeah, if you want to help your boy out here with Ko-Fi, very good. This is not for me to buy a PS5 unless I want to use it for my channel, of course, I'll admit that. But if anyone want to help out, well, there's the link as well. But if you want something in return, like the content and stuff like that, or you need a video editor to edit your own videos for your YouTube channel, you can reach out to me. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and I'll see you all in the next one. Magbo out. Bye bye. Peace. Thank you for watching this video. Check these videos too that are related to what you just watched. I'm sure you will find some enjoyment there. You can also follow me on Instagram and support the channel via Patreon or buy my Magbo merch. Links below. Hope to see you again soon.